Playing through this game was a deeply personal and cathartic experience for me. Watching Senua struggle with her delusions and with her compulsions and her obsessions. Not so much the hallucinations or the voice hearing, but certainly the notions behind the voices. The constant self-nagging and criticism was all so familiar to me. It was like watching myself before I got on medication. I'm diagnosed obsessive compulsive with depression and anxiety problems to boot. So it's a lovely combination. And until the age of 18, I was not diagnosed. And in fact, right before being diagnosed, I had watched one of those 2020 specials on somebody who had schizophrenia and who had killed a guy. So I was like terrified that everybody was going to think I was nuts if I told them what was going on in my head. So I was bottling everything up and freaking out. And it wasn't until I finally just kind of broke down. It was to the point where, you know those games you play when you're a kid, like Don't Step on a Crack or You'll Break Your Mother's Back? I didn't want to step on a crack because I was afraid I would break my mother's back. Like it's action and consequence, and they don't actually have to have anything to do with one another. It's what they refer to as magical thinking. It's a little bit like Senua thinking that she needs to take her boyfriend's head to this place in order to get his soul back. Like, when you take a step back from that in terms of reality versus a video game, you go, Senua, that's crazy. You should put your boyfriend's head back down. Like, that's gross, you know. But in my head, it was like, if I didn't go to the right of the pebble on the road, then I would crash my bike. If I didn't go to the left of that oil spill, then something worse would happen.
This is your fault. You brought this plague to us!
And so I built up these fictions and these horror stories in my head about how every action that I took was going to eventually result in the death of someone I loved, or even worse. It just got so bad, guys. And I finally broke down, and I wandered into my parents' room like late one night and said, "Can you guys please take me to a mental hospital, because I wanted to be put in a padded cell." And they were like, "Whoa, bud, what's going on there?" And I said, I'm having a really hard time. And I told them some of the stuff I was going through, and they were like, "All right, well, we knew you were having a hard time. We didn't want to force anything on you. We wanted you to come to us when you were ready, and it sounds like you're ready. How about instead of a padded cell, we get you somebody to talk to?"
We can fight this together, side by side.
It was not even a year later that I was just doing infinitely better. The fact of the matter is that I still have those little red flags that pop up. Ooh, you better walk on the right side of that spot on the floor, or you better jiggle the door handle 5 times before you leave. Actually, that's always even numbers, so 5 is not accurate at all, but you get the idea. I still think every once in a while I need to do those things.
I will never let you go. You can't get rid of me. I am your shadow.
But then, with the help of medication, with the help of that therapy, I'm able to say, like, no, I don't need to do that thing, and I'm not going to. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to go to work.
No.
Playing through this game was like watching somebody go through that journey, like realizing that they have a problem, realizing that they don't have to go through it alone. And I kind of cutting down nasty Viking men was like cutting down my demons. This game was like a release for me. I really think that it's a great experience. I think it's horrifying. And like I said at the opening of my Let's Play series, hello and welcome to what will no doubt be a disquieting experience for the vast majority of you. It's upsetting to experience these things. But once you've played through it and once you've experienced it, I really think that you're going to have a better understanding of what mental illness feels like, why that doesn't make you a bad person for having mental illness, why it doesn't make you a bad person for feeling uncomfortable with folks who have mental illness. We all go through varying experiences, and some people are really weird, And it can be frightening for those of us who don't have those maladies. If you can get where they're coming from and not just immediately go like, well, that dude's crazy, it's probably a good thing. So I would really recommend that you play through the game, that you get into it, that you feel the pain, and then you find a healthy, constructive way to move forward. Likewise, if you are suffering from any of the stuff that I've been talking about, if you've been dealing with any of those issues personally, don't be afraid to reach out to someone who you love and who you trust and tell them about what you're going through. Because if you try to go through this stuff alone, the darkness they talk about in the video game takes so many of us. Those of us who are suffering with depression, we have a massively increased mortality rate due to suicide. We lose people every day to this stuff, and it's not their fault. Some people just aren't strong enough to battle all of that stuff. If you're going through this stuff personally, don't try to be a hero. Reach out to somebody who you love and trust, and let them help you. There's no shame in that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the creators of this video game coming out and saying something too, to say like, hey, there's people out there suffering with this stuff. We're going to give you a fun adventure involving Celts and Vikings, but we also want you to think about something very real. And I respect the hell out of that, and I respect the hell out of anybody who's willing to take that on. 'Cause that's a beast, man. It's worse than Garm. I hope that whole story didn't make you super uncomfortable. And I hope you enjoyed my little review of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. And if you were foolish enough to watch this thing before you were playing, I highly recommend that you go ahead and play through it, because it's going to be a bad time that leads to a good time. Take care.